Hello, my name is Vanderbull and welcome to SideQuest Commander. Today we are here to take a step into chaos with a deck near and dear to my heart, Backstabber. Backstabber falls into the side quest category of game warping, where the intent of it is to shift the focus of the game outside of the usual. Magic is a game where the outcome is decided in two places, the stack and combat. While at higher levels, the stack is almost always where the fiercest competition reigns, the battlefield is where my heart is drawn. I love the mental battle of knowing where to send creatures, what to hold back, what tricks you can employ, and the myriad of strange interactions that can be found sprinkled in throughout the different stages of combat. Backstabber's purpose is to share that joy of violence with everyone. Let's get started. Our commander is Xantcha Sleeper Agent. Xantcha is a 5/5 legendary Phyrexian minion that enters under the control of one of your opponents. She attacks each combat, but can't attack her owner or one of their planeswalkers. She also has an ability any player can activate, which draws a card and has her controller lose 2 life. If you haven't caught on by the commander and the title, Backstabber is a deck that sends our creatures to our opponents. However, this deck, with some minor exceptions, has no goad. What type of a coward forces their opponents to attack but is too afraid to be the one struck? Backstabber runs 26 creatures outside of Xantcha, and all but 11 have the ability to be sent to an opponent. Some standouts that are a bit older are Chaos Lord, which says at the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent gains control of it if the number of permanents is even. The classic Sleeper Agent, which eventually inspired our commander, and an incredible piece of interaction, Stark of Wrath, that can tap to destroy artifacts and creatures, but then immediately switches to their owner's control. Some newer incredible additions include Zuko Conflicted, who ramps you and draws cards, Kane Traitorous Dragoon, who does the same, and Karn the Betrayer, who's really just everything this deck wants. A big beater who just turns it sideways every turn and will stab you in the back immediately. Some standouts of the 11 loyalists in the deck are Beast, Deathless Prince, who rewards you when you are inevitably betrayed, Gix, Yawgmoth Preorder, who helps both you and your opponents with card draw, assuming they aren't attacking you, and finally, Kratos, God of War. Kratos embraces the intent of the deck in its full. Creatures are meant to be turned sideways. He also leads me into my next archetype of cards, Aggression Effects. The namesake card Aggression enchants a creature, and if it does not attack, it is destroyed at its controller's end step. Sometimes people need encouragement to attack. Aggression Effects are that encouragement. They range from Grand Melee, which just forces every creature to either attack or block every combat, to Angel's Trumpet, that taps creatures who didn't attack and deals damage to their controller, all the way to Avatar of Slaughter, which really just ends someone's game almost immediately, sometimes your own. Finally, we get to our support. This category is where we find our ramp, card draw, and interaction. As for ramp, I prefer to run around 10 pieces. In addition to a pretty standard Mana Rock suite, some more interesting ones are Hithling Rope, Pendant of Prosperity, and Victory Chimes, which are all fun interactive ramp that can help you bargain with other players. Our draw has some really interesting pieces that, you guessed it, send our troops to our opponents. Fateful Handoff sends a creature or artifact to an opponent and draws cards equal to its mana cost. And Allure of the Unknown reveals 6 cards, lets an opponent choose 1 to cast, and you draw the remaining 5. Remember, letting your opponent cast your spells is only bad if the cards in your deck are good. Our cards move around the table so much that most often whatever they take won't be theirs for long. Finally, our interaction. Backstabber does not run any real creature board wipes. We want combat, and having no creatures would defeat that purpose. Even our targeted removal rarely targets creatures, and that which we do have should be used exclusively to get rid of things that limit our combat ability. I'm looking at you, Azorius players. What we do have are ways to get rid of artifacts and enchantments. It's best if we spend these things on Pelifort enchantments or unstoppable value engines and game winners. Finally, we enter into our last deck segment. Cards that are sweet, but either don't fit into a previous category or I just didn't have time for it. Expedited Inheritance, one of the worst mythics I have ever seen that almost certainly loses you the game, but it will get people attacking. Assault Suit, a classic piece that lets you suit up some of your loyalists and get them in on that backstabbing action. And it can save key cards from edict effects. Blim Comedic Genius. This card is objectively stronger as a commander. That's why it sits in the 99. I'm even considering removing it because the discarding effect can sometimes lead to unfun play patterns, but at a more competitive table, Blim can really make some moves. It could be a fun direction to take this deck in a more game-winning direction. And finally, maybe the most chaotic and wild card in the deck, Endless Whispers. This card is insane, and it solves literally every dilemma that this deck faces. Board wipes? No problem. The creatures are going to come back, and who knows where they're going. You have a Season of the Witch in play, and your opponents are using it to get rid of the creatures that you so kindly gave them. Now someone else has a chance to attack with them. Creatures now can turn sideways, perish, and attack the one who sent them to die every single turn. Incredible. Now, you may ask, but Vanderbilt, won't my opponents just send the creatures that I give them directly into my waiting, undefended face now that I've sent all of my blockers away? Maybe. Maybe they will. But we must not fear death. We must not fear defeat. We are Rakdos. We revel in bloodshed, be it our enemies or our own. To survive and bring the joy of battle to our enemies, we must play our role. We must feed on their pettiness and desire for vengeance. Did someone attack another player with their Elvish Mystic on turn 2? Counter an Arcane Signet? Perhaps they just played a card that made an opponent sigh because they've had to deal with it every single week. And it's always miserable. You can give them the tools to engage in their petty little battles and capitalize. And when you can decide who to lease your enemies to, you can grant them to the player that will participate in your mind games. The one who missed some crucial land drops and is just sitting there bored out of their mind. The one with no cards in their hand and nothing on board. The player with nothing left to lose because everything that they have has already been taken. Some of the most fun I have ever had in a game. An opponent and I entered into a blood feud with each other on like turn 3. We're swinging back and forth. We aren't even paying attention to anything that is happening with the other two players in this game. We are locked in Mortal Kombat. A turf war with no sound but our fists making contact with each other's faces. When all of a sudden, one of the other players saw an opportunity to attack me. My opponent not only killed the creature that was threatening me and effectively saved my life, but we then banded together to destroy the player who would dare intercede in our sacred war. Now, I did not come out on top at the end. My rival was a victor, but I felt like a winner. That game of Magic told a story, and all of the players in it participated. I hope that Backstabber can create stories like that for you too. For the whole deck list, there's a Moxfield link in the description below. Please take it and mold it to fit who you are. If you take out a few pricey pieces and trim the mana base some, it can actually be pretty cheap. Leave a comment about what changes you would make, directions you would take it, and your best stories told on Magic the Gathering's battlefield. I hope you enjoyed the side quest today, and I will see you later on the road less traveled.